into Bigfoot research, I guess about 2019, just kind of got interested in the subject. One thing led to another. I ended up joining the research team. Uh, ended up met a ended up linking up with the family from here, Kevin and Doris Crawford. Kevin had said that he had seen some things down here and wanted some researchers to come down. So we put together a little weekend trip down here, just to see what he's talking about. Um, we had planned that night to stay at a blueberry farm, and we ended up having to cancel that one because dune buggies had rolled the road out so bad. So we ended up camping somewhere else just on spur of the moment. And so me and Scott had an incident there, and that's what got us interested in coming here. So I'll share it for you. But this is Scott DeForest. He's a researcher, and then I have a lot of friends here. If y'all got Barb, Tom Kramer, Paige Stock, Millie, Pete, that's right, and my daughter Brandy Whited, Gresham and Will sitting in the back. They all came down with us, and we camped out last night on another project. We really didn't have anything happen. But the whole point of this, how this got started, was I wrote my first book last year, and it got published in November. And when I had come down here originally with Kevin, I was had posted in y'all's discussion group here looking for witnesses because I was putting together. I like to interview witnesses, regular people, salt of the earth people. That's who I like to talk to. And I just take their stories and I'll just like post them on Facebook. And so I ended up with a pretty good little collection of them. And people were like, "You should write a book. You should write a book." So I ended up with about 40 personal encounter stories, and I, added some more stuff to it and wrote my first book. So, in an effort, I'm gonna keep writing books. So I said, well, I'm going to ask again for some more encounter stories. So a lot of people responded. If you were part of that discussion, if you saw all the comments and stuff, and people were like, "Hey, well, we should." Somebody suggested let's get together, have a meeting, and I'll tell our stories. I said, well, I'll plan to, participate if that's what we want to do. And then Crystal, thank you, Crystal, for letting us use your establishment. Jumped in. She was like, hey, I got the place, got it set up. Be glad to offer my spot, and let's just do it. So, I mean, I don't have like a presentation or anything. We call this a town hall meeting because even though no, it's not held in City Hall, it's still the town, and we're looking for witnesses that will come forward to tell us what you saw. It's hard on us because we're not from here, so we don't have access to a lot of private property. So that's what we need. We need some people that can point us where to go. We're down here right now blindly based on what happened to us in 2022. So I'm gonna tell our story, and then, but anybody that wants to talk can. But I'm gonna set a timer, and the reason I'm setting a timer is because I helped with the festival in Molina, the Molina Bigfoot Festival, and in November I let some witnesses go up to talk. One talked for over an hour, and the other one talked for 45 minutes, and it ruined the whole presentation for the next actual researcher. So I don't want to do that again. So we're going to do timers, and then whoever wants to talk can. When the timer goes off, that don't mean you can't come back and tell another story. But we just like to tell what happened to you directly. And after that's over with, we can tell about something we heard. We can ask questions. Scott has been in the field for years. He's my sensei. That's what I call him. He's my teacher. He is very knowledgeable. He's had lots of got lots of stories and stuff exactly what he's saying. But I know what happened to us here. So I'm going to tell you where it was. I used to keep it a secret, but we have been back a couple of times. So it's Dixon Memorial Check Station Road. So we had to cancel the Blueberry Farm camp out, and it was the first weekend in March in 2022. So we had nowhere to go to camp. When we left there, we drove all the way to Ralph Simmons in Florida. We couldn't camp there because we didn't have reservations. So we headed back to Georgia. And I said, look, I found a place last weekend when I came down scouting. It ain't a very good spot. It's not that far off, from town. It looked like we could camp there. But right at this point, what choice do we have? We're going right through there anyway, headed home. So let's just check it out. If y'all like it, we'll stay. If you don't, we don't have to stay. We'll find somewhere else. So took them to the check station, Dixon Memorial check station campsite, and nobody was there, and they were like, well, this is fine with us. I mean, what we got to lose at this point? So, so we set up camp. Scott sleeps in his truck a lot because he's got a bad back, and I was going to sleep in my truck because back then I was too scared to sleep in the tent. For real, I was so scared. It was only the second time I'd ever been out. Well, there was a young couple with us. They were a young married couple, John and April, and we had just met them that weekend. So they went back to town. So I was scouting around. I don't know. I was copying what Scott was doing. Scott was out scouting, and so I was trying to act like I knew what I was doing. So I just I don't know what I'm just looking. But anyway, so they get back to town. It gets dark. Now April was very, very, very scared. She was way more afraid than I was. So she was very hyper aware of everything that was going on. And ain't nothing wrong with that. You can't help it. It sounds easy till you are the one in the middle of the darkness, and it can get very scary. So nothing was really happening. And the way we were sitting, we always sit. Like somebody sits across, and we watch. We don't hear something, you don't turn like that. You always just say, I just heard a branch break at Scott's 2 o'clock, and nobody looks. That's the rule. One thing to do research. You don't. Everybody looks and starts pointing. Something's there. They'll see you. So we were kind of set up in that position, and April says, "What is that?" And she points up in the trees. Well, John says, "That is an orb." And Scott said, "You sure is." Now, I couldn't see it, but I'm half blind anyway. But I was trying to film it with my phone, so we get up and we follow the orb. The orb stays in the top of the tree line, and back then it was a lot of hardwood. It stayed in the tree line all the way down to the corner of the campsite. I don't know how many people in here knows what the campsite was like, but it's like a rectangle. So when it gets to the corner, it turns right, makes a right-hand turn. It stays on top of the tree line, and we're still following it. And it was about this big, and it looked like just pointing like just tell it's a ball of energy. Like a ball of plasma. That's what it kind of looked like. It wasn't solid white. It wasn't glowing real bright. It was a dim glow. But it's like it jumped down out of the tree. Now, I still haven't seen it this point. But they said it's like it jumped down out of the tree into the road. Then when it got in the road, that's when I did see it. I do have the audio of us following it and us talking. So then I can see it. And it is not far from. It's far from here, me to that wall from us. I mean, we got a clear look at it. Crosses the road. It goes into the pine thicket and crosses and it's a sandy dirt road right there. And until it fades out of sight.
Forgive me. This is you're walking towards 177 on the check station road.
It was a sandy dirt road right in front of the camping area of Dixon.
We were
That's
in
the
the old,
wildlife management area where they do.
so we were freaked out at this point because I mean I literally just watched an orb, right? Well, John had brought a camera. It was a real nice camera on a tripod and everything. He was gonna video everything the whole night. Well, his camera, it killed the battery in his camera, lost power. He said, well, my battery is dead for some strange reason. Let me recharge it. So he tries to recharge it. My FLIR died that I had, but Scott's was still working. Anyway, so some more, another hour or so goes by and it's quiet again. Nothing else has happened. John and April were going to stay in a tent, so they had their tent put up. Well, she freaked out, said they heard something scratching the back of their tent. Well, I didn't hear it, but they said they heard something scratching the back of their tent.
What I called them once, I thought it was maybe 5 times. Stick falling out of the pole.
Yeah, trying to keep them,
Land 'em
trying
on
to
the back
keep
of the
April
tent.
calm. Yeah. Yeah. He kept trying to just tell April, it's okay, you're gonna be alright. So after a few minutes, I heard something, we all heard it. It was a horrible, guttural, so it was so deep, I literally didn't know what it was. I thought it sounded like somebody trying to crank. You ever have an old dirt bike when you was a kid? And you try to crank it and it like rumbles and tries to roll over, but it won't can't. I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. Like I couldn't figure out. And Scott said, "Did you hear that?"
The first time that's what we heard, and then it did it again.
He said that was 2 growls. I said, "Oh no, Well, first of all, April said she was going to town. She couldn't take it. She was going to go on and leave town, go to town to get a road. And I said, "Oh my God, Scott!" And that puts just being here. That's when the growls went off. And I said, "Hold up, I'm going to leave you because something's right back in there that sounds like that. No, I don't want no part of it." So Scott said, "Look, let's all crank our vehicles. Let's all pull around. Let's get everything loaded up. Nobody leaves." Because John and April wanted to come out the next day and get their tent. So I was like, no, you're going to take your tent down tonight. We're going to pack up and we're going to leave tonight. Now, we had nowhere to go, right? I'm from Middle Georgia. He's from up here in Atlanta. So, that's what we do. We all crank our vehicles. And I have a solo stove that I use. And it's easy to put the, pull off quick. So put it out, put it on the truck, pull it around. And I'm trying to make sure that I haven't missed anything. And I'm looking in my seat. If I got my FLIR, if I got my cell phone.
We got engines running, the lights are on now.
John and April's already in their car. Scott has pulled up behind me. We're both not aimed to go out, we're aimed the opposite way, but he's pulled up behind me. And I look. And in the first little clump of trees, just inside the campsite, there's like 2 or 3 trees right there. I see the brightest, whitest reflection. It was about that big. And it was like something with a giant eyeball looking at me like that right there. You know what I'm saying? Behind one eye stuck out from behind that tree. It was about this high in the tree. And I said, I know that reflection like that has not been there all night because I would have seen it. Because we've been paranoid out here. And I was like, so I took my flashlight, and I walked outward trying to look down in the woods or whatever it was in that tree. It wasn't down in the woods behind it or anything like that. So I said, Scott, come here for a minute. So he came over, and I said, what is that? Is that eye shine? He said, I don't know. I guess I'll walk down there and see. And so when he said that, I'm like, well, it's going to be on the way. It obviously ain't going to be that big.
There was a white sign down there on the tree line, on the tree. It wasn't that sign.
Yeah.
The sign was off to the side somewhere.
Yeah, and those signs, when they reflect, they're off-white. This was such a white reflection that it looked like it was putting on its own light. but it wasn't. You could still see that it was a reflection. I can't describe it, but so I'm watching Scott. So I'm hanging in my truck. Why didn't I video? I don't know. I don't know why I didn't have my cell phone, just in case. I do now, but you know, in the heat of the moment, you think, oh, well, that's not gonna take. So he, it's about 40 yards out. My truck door's open. I'm just standing there waiting for him to go down there and say, it's a reflector. Well, he gets about halfway. Now, Scott is a Marine. He's a police officer, a career police officer, firearms instructor for around Atlanta. When I saw Scott backing up, I started watching Scott. He turned around. He said, "We got to go now." And he started running to his truck. When I saw Scott run, I got in the truck and slammed the door. And I don't know how he did it, but he passed me in trees somehow, and he got in front of me. So we're all leaving, and Scott hollers out the window, "Yeah, I'm gonna get that tent now." And I thought, well, that was the corniest thing. What in the world? That was so corny. Why did he say that? So anyway, but we're all like upset because I mean, you just have to be there and have something like that happen to you to understand how scary it could be. It caught us off guard for it to be that bold to come into campsite. Now at this point, I still don't really know what Scott saw. So we go to the end of the road. We're all, let's find somewhere to go. So we ended up at like a Waffle King or something around here. We go to a corner booth and what the hell was that?
Drink some coffee, settle our nerves.
Oh my God, what do we do now? What was that? So come to find out, almost like you want to tell them what you saw.
Sure. So, yeah, I walked out there toward it, and when I talked, I'll tell you a little bit about how I thought to start doing this. But I walked toward it, and I got about 20 yards out of that 40 yards, and I started thinking, what am I doing? And I do my knife, that's it. And I'm in the middle of this field, in the middle of the dark, and I'm staring at something that's taller than me. Because when I got to about that 20 yards, when I'm looking at it, it was in the cut of a tree where two trunks come up, and the one white light turned its head, and now you could see two. So I got closer. Now they separated. It's two eyes, and it turned its head to the right and stepped down. And it was stepping down from looking up through that tree. And that's when I was like, well, it's down on the ground now. It's already ground at it. It's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I backed up.
And just being with Scott and trying to learn him, if they're that bold, I mean, you don't mess around with them. It's just when it happens to you, a lot of people don't believe in them. Most of our witnesses are hunters that were used to didn't believe until one day their life changed because they saw something that they could not explain. We came back a year later with more people because we felt like we were such a small group that they knew that they outnumbered us or something. I don't know. You could just tell. They were just very brave, or it was. So when we came back a year later, they had clear cut all that. All the hardwoods were gone, all that, And so we set up that weekend. That's Barb and Tom came, and some more people, and we didn't hear a bird. I mean, it was the deadest weekend ever. So we've been wanting to give it some time and let it grow up. And then we were bored. I said, "Come on, kids, let's go out. Let's go fishing." Loaded up the car, left, got out there. We creeped out all along the way. We got to a certain, I used to say where I'm going, but I'm going to tell you. It was out Swamp Road. It was on the bridge out Swamp Road was 9 miles out there. Past Overdose. Yep, past Overdose. And so we stopped on the side of the road. My best friend Michael took us in his truck. He had actually got there's a power line running across there. So if you're not careful when you throw up, it'll catch on it and move around. So that day he had
did that very same thing on the first cast. And so he walked to his truck 100 feet away where he parked, and me and the grandkids right here. I had my, he's now 15, but at the time he was 13, my oldest grandson, Brent. And then I had my 9-year-old, he was probably 10 feet away. Over here, and the creek is probably 40 by 45 deep in the mangroves, and you can tell that it goes further back there, the creek. And so he's fishing across, and there's one cutout where some rednecks had climbed down the ditch into the water and cut out a little higher spot, cut out a spot where they could cast on the back side of it. So he's going that way, I'm going this way, and Brent's dropping straight down. We're both kind of dropping. Brent had a nice fish, and I was cutting up with him. I said, "Come on, grab the old claw, we'll grab that fish and show y'all again how Granny takes that fish off." Well, as I'm looking down and we're catching her, Michael's gonna walk to the truck, and he's got her, he's doing something in the back of the tailgate. All of a sudden, my grandson Landon gives me chills on thinking about it. He dropped his pole, and literally, y'all, he was shaking, pounds to go. He said, "Nanny, Nanny, let's go right now." And I said, "Baby," I said, "what's wrong?" I said, "You love fishing. We come out here all the time. What do you mean?" I got chills on thinking about it. Kind of gets me worked up because more is happening. So I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "No, Nanny, let's go right now. There's a monster standing there." So he points straight ahead. Well, actually points right there, but I think he's pointing straight back. And I look up and I said, "A monster?" I said, "A bear?" He said, "No, Nanny." I knew it was a bear. And he said, "No, Nanny, no." And I said, "Deer?" And he said, "No, Nanny, you know." And I said, "Bigfoot?" He said, "Yes." And I looked up and I didn't see that. And I said, "What do you mean? What do he look like?" And he said, "He's taller than Uncle Michael. He's bigger than Uncle Michael. He has big black cheeks and he can run fast." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, if he wanted to get us where he's at." Oh, about the time I heard splash. And my older son, Brent, said, "Hey, did you hear that?" Brent, that wasn't four-legged animal. And I said, "I heard it." I said, "Baby, calm down." I said, if he wanted to get us, he could jump. One big jump and slaughter us all." So, of course, Michael comes back, and I'm like, for about 30 seconds, I'm thinking, how am I going to tell Michael? I don't tell Michael. There's like a creek, there's a lot of woods, there's a nice field, nice area for a Bigfoot. Anyway, so I was deer hunting. And it was dark, the sun was starting to come out. Sorry, I get that. No, that's all right.
Fine.
You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to apologize. You were
The funny part is I was in my pajamas. I had 30-30, and got up in the deer stand, got sitting there waiting for the sun to come out. When it was just starting to get sunlight, I was looking across the field and I think about it. So I get the scope and I'm just looking at it. It's tall and it's a little dark and hairy, and it's just standing by a tree, and I sat there and watched it for a minute. It's standing straight up, because people was like, "Oh, you seen a bear?" I'm like, "That wasn't a bear." But he was just standing straight up.
Dogs can stand up on two legs.
They can walk on two legs.
They can walk on two legs. They look like a midget.
They got
little long
legs.
legs. They walk like.
But this one's standing
Short legs,
like
I mean, not
a
long
man,
legs.
straight and tall, and I just sit there and I just watched him in the scope for a few minutes, walking off, and watched him walk away. But then I kind of got, I waited about 5 minutes because I was a little scared, and I got out of deer stand, I ran back home, and I woke up my husband, daughter. So I was telling him all day. The main one was like, "Oh, it's a bear," but after that, my family that kind of makes fun of me. Get like these Bigfoot shirts, all kind of Bigfoot stuff. Yeah, probably about 10 years ago. Yeah, probably about 10 years ago. I'd like to go out looking for them again, but I haven't been out actively searching or anything.
Remind me again what your name is?
Frida Jones.
I'll take you out, Frida.
I think so. I do work outside for it, but I'm not crazy. I'm in social work. Yeah, some people might think I'm crazy. I got a whole family of nurses, but I work in the social department. So I'm a normal person.
Was it your property?
It was my neighbor's property.
You still got access to it?
Not really.
Hey y'all. Well, this concludes our town hall meeting, Bigfoot expedition.
Period.
Yeah,
Concludes it.
concludes it. We had a great time at the what was it called? The park? Laura S. Walker Park, walking those trails and the boardwalk and all that stuff. And then the walk that Friday night while they were at Dixon WMA, we tried to squeeze whatever was in those woods out. That was fun. Last night, Will and I camped at the Dixon WMA, and it was relaxing, it was chill, but there was just nothing happening. There was nothing to do over there. So, I'm not saying I'd never go back, but I wouldn't say, oh, let's go to Dixon.
Where was the town hall meeting at? What was the name of that place?
Jimbo's.
Yeah, Jimbo's Tavern. Yeah.
Yes, if you're ever in Blackshear, Georgia, go to Jimbo's Tavern and get their bourbon.
Brown sugar bourbon
Wings. They were out of this world, y'all. Out of this world. And the people there were really nice too. They were very accommodating. I do want to apologize when I was recording during the town hall. I don't know if the camera got bumped or maybe it was thumb error. I don't know, but
edit all that out.
I didn't. Yeah, but a lot of it didn't record. So I will edit and post what I can of the town hall. But we had to leave the town hall early because we had to go and get our campsite. Because we weren't staying. I know, I saw it. It's a turkey.
It's a hen.
Hen. Okay. But I do want to say that how far of a drive is it from where we started to home? Like 2 hours?
Yeah, just a little hair, right? 2:10 or so.
And we're probably about, what, 30?
20 minutes from home now.
Yeah, 20 minutes from home, and we've seen $10 Generals. 10.
Yeah.
What the world? And one of them was legit in the middle of nowhere. Crazy. Anyway, it was a fun time. What was your favorite part, Will?
My favorite part was walking through the woods at night.
My favorite part was when we were on the boardwalk. Walking the boardwalk.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Even though we weren't supposed to, but it was still cool.
Right, but, I mean, if you tell me to keep out, oh, I'm going in. I'm going in there. I'm going to at least poke my head in and get a look. See what happens.
Yeah, you always do the opposite of what you're told. So keep talking.
Anyway, we hope y'all enjoyed this. Hey, do us a favor, and if you would like and subscribe to the channel, that helps us. That helps YouTube, the algorithm, push our stuff out to more people. It would really help us out.
Okay, it's getting hot here. I'm telling you what to do.
Okay, thanks y'all.